Okay, we got 2 practice review for you. Obviously, Friday night we went to Acrisure Stadium for number 12. Had a good situational practice with live work. Good day. I think we got better. Okay, just getting all the situational stuff done and didn't have turnovers. I think we had 1 tip ball interception again. Credit to the defense getting a tip ball at the line of scrimmage. And then today, again, more situational stuff, just getting a lot of good work done with our football team. We did an overtime on Friday night. We did another one today, just working overtime. Got some 2-point plays in today. But been good work overall. So getting ready for spring game. Got draft tomorrow. Everybody ready for the draft? So we'll have that in here at noon. And get ready for a spring game, which will be thud this year. We're going to go thud. Just want to stay up and stay healthy as we can coming out of that game. And, being that it's not on the ACC network, I wanted to make sure it's that. If it was ACC network, I'd have gone live probably. So it's a good thing for me.
Is it your first spring game?
I can't recall. Maybe. We may have done one other, but again, that's pretty lively. It's just keeping guys off the ground.
With Friday specifically, I mean, what did the offense do well? And then obviously they were wearing blue shirts today.
They were wearing blue shirts today. Again, it wasn't a jersey scrimmage, so they were wearing blue shirts today. Should have kept it the same. I don't even know. That's Dante's. It was, we had 2 jersey scrimmages. The offense won the second one. The defense won the first one, and then again, we didn't play for the jersey, so Dante's just switched it up. So that's good that he peeked at that. I didn't even notice it, but we didn't play for the jerseys. So again, we didn't. We're only allowed to have 3 scrimmages by NCAA rules. So we had 2, and then that's why it was a situational day. And obviously we'll get the 3rd one here coming up on Saturday. So it was a good day. I mean, I think the offense. I mean, it was a back and forth battle. There was no turnovers except that one, which is good when you go probably 90 plays with the 1s and 2s. 3s didn't get much work on Saturday just because the numbers start to get thin. So 1s and 2s, obviously, all 3 quarterbacks played. We got them all reps pretty evenly, but good day overall.
Second spring for Eli. What have you seen from him in terms of progression from the beginning of camp to now?
Again, a work in progress. Again, I think he's still not 100%. I mean, Rick, our PT guy, still making sure he's 100%. So we've, I don't want to say. I mean, he's been out there going live, but he's obviously not getting hit. But he's running like he's live. But he's still we do all kinds of tests in the training to make sure that we're there's still a little hesitation in my opinion from him. And again, because he just doesn't have the there's a Rick sends me all these numbers. Rick does our PT does an unbelievable job. But we're just going to make sure he's back 100%. But he's done well. But again, that's with all of January, February, not doing a whole lot, not throwing a whole bunch, just really getting healthy, mainly. So I think it's a work in progress, and we're happy with where all the quarterbacks are at this point.
How has Julian taken the experience in the bowl game and used that to kind of grow through this spring practices?
Julian's been really good. I mean, like I said, all 3 quarterbacks have been good. We're happy with them all. There's those up down days, but Julian's going to beat you with his feet. On the scrimmage day 1, he had a beautiful 69-yard. Nobody touched him. And he strides it out. But Julian has taken it to the next level. He is a totally different player, mentally and physically. I think he's studying the game more. I don't know if he studied a lot of practice last spring. You can probably ask him if he watched a lot of tape on his own. But he's just a totally different player. He's that bowl game was great for him as far as just his confidence and going, okay, I got it. And I think it's given that opportunity here when January came around just to study it more and kind of go, okay, I got this. So he's really dedicated to it. I know he's watching a lot of tape on his iPad. I'm just guessing. He can probably tell you that. If it's different now than last spring, but I bet you there's a world of difference where he is mentally and where he is physically.
Which of the situations did you most want to clean up from last season?
It's not clean up, it's just continue to do it. Like I said, we got an overtime period. We got a 2-minute before the second quarter, or 2 minute at the end of the second quarter. We didn't go to I had a 2-minute plan for the end, but it was time, and I had a certain amount of plays in my mind that I wanted to get to and not go over to the point where we're drafting a bunch of injured guys on tomorrow at noon. So I just wanted to be smart and not go over the limit of plays because it can be too much out there when you're going 22 guys at a time around the field. I mean, and then the next 22 going out, and then the next 22. That's a lot of football players on the field at one time. So you just want to try to keep them healthy. It's a physical practice. Even when we go thud, which we did a lot of thud, it's live. The O-line, D-line are going live every snap. There's no, it's trying to stay up on the tailback, and sometimes they fall over just like they did today. But it's been good work.
Obviously, Coach Bell has a certain type with his skill players. He likes speed, tempo. How's that wave of new guys coming into this program, like the Tony Kinslers, Ja'Carrion Turners? How have they kind of shown up this spring?
They've shown up in a big way. I mean, I think Turner, Boosie gets better every single day. There's some, he had some inside, some runs today, an inside run that were really good. But we're happy with where both those guys are. Our young skills done a great job of getting lined up, learning the offense first of all. I think a lot better than our young guys did a year ago. So going back to we got some overtime periods in. We got some second down to third down. We call it sequencing plays, just going from second down and 10. And you gain 5, it's now 3rd and 5. So we got to think, on the run. So it's kind of like a scrimmage, but just working those different situations, to finish answering your question, Jerry.
Do you always make sure you do a Friday practice during spring?
No, it's the first time we did it. The only time I think I'll do it again. I think it was, good energy out of our football team when we go out there. I think they were excited to go out under the lights in the Acrisure Stadium. Again, the main reason was because of, the weather. And I woke up Saturday morning and said, it's a good thing we went. It was pouring down, and again, we had some light, drizzle, I guess. My shoes were wet afterwards, but I didn't even feel it. I didn't even think it rained. But it was really good to go Friday. I think we'll try to do that again.
With it being the final week of camp, is there any areas of this team that you still need to see some improvement?
We need improvement on the O-line, the D-line, linebackers, running backs, receivers, quarterbacks. Everybody. I mean, we need, we're never where. That's why we coach. It's tough loving those meetings, but we're never satisfied. And if we all start to get satisfied, matter of fact, it's a great question that I asked our team today. I said, we got 3 practices to go. Raise your hand if you're happy where you are. Guess what? There wasn't one hand raised. That's the way it's supposed to be. They're getting coached every single day. And again, that just happened this morning. Correct, Julian? Just not one hand got raised, and I figured it'd be somebody, some of those freshmen back, but not one person said they're where they want to be. And that's kind of what spring ball is. We're never, coaches. We're, coaches and calling timeouts and 2-minute, and some of those, the overtime and what we do and managing the clock. Because when we go manage the clock in a 2-minute drill, I have LL being the head coach for the offense, because Coach Bell's, he's all over the place screaming and yelling and calling plays that he can't do it at the same time. So, which I've always done that. I try to stay out of it, not be the clock manager. I'm the evaluator of the clock management, but let those guys have an opportunity to manage the clock like we did today. We had 1:16 on the clock, and there's 2 timeouts for the offense. Defense had none. Bates is trying to call timeout at the end, and I hear him on the headphones. I'm like, you got no timeouts left. So just all those situations of just making sure they're locked in and engaged.
I'm sure you'd probably want to have live as much as you could, but what advantages is there to have the spring game in thud?
I'll let you know after the spring game. Sometimes thud gets scarier than live. So maybe I'll change my mind. I don't know. The problem with thud is, I'll try to make it a light thud, is some guys are going full speed, trying to impress mom in the stands, and all of a sudden wipe out a guy. Today, Cam Lindsey comes blitzing through the A-gap, and he tripped and stumbled and dives through the backfield. He takes someone's legs out. Like, what are we doing? It's thud. Stay off the ground. I'm constantly screaming and trying to teach the tempo. I feel like the referee out there most of the time just controlling the tempo. So sometimes live is better, but I hope I'm making the right decision.
You said there was 1 turnover on Friday. Which defensive player came down with it?
Oh boy, who was it? Justin, Kyle Lewis, right?
Justin Thompson?
Was it Justin?
Yeah.
So it was Justin Thompson got one. So I thought maybe it was Kyle Lewis. But I must have given remember the one he took a knee on? Was that Thursday? Okay. Yeah, that was right. That was in the indoor facility.
I know one of your goals in the spring is to keep everybody healthy. Have you been able to do that since the start of spring?
No, I've done a crappy job at that, but it's hard. I mean, you got, we're banged up a little bit. You'll probably see tomorrow when we draft out the injured guys. Again, obviously we came in, with a lot of season surgeries, and we'll have a couple after spring ball as well. We've had a couple in the middle, so part of the game, but, you know, we gotta continue to move forward, and, you know, luckily it's nothing bad, and we still got 2 more to go.
Do you
We'll go
expect that-
Spiders Thursday, get lightened up, it'll be a blue gold practice, and we'll kinda go from there.
Those guys will be okay by August?
Yes.